The stars above the small human colony called Outpost 7 were always beautiful at night. The planet was far from Earth, almost at the edge of known space. Only a few hundred humans lived there. They were miners, scientists, and farmers. Life was simple and quiet. Captain stood on the roof of the main building and looked up at those stars. He was 32 years old with short black hair and tired eyes. He had been a soldier for 10 years, but he was not a fighter. He was a scout. His job was to watch, report, and stay alive. Fighting was for the real soldiers back on Earth. His team had 6 members. There was Lieutenant, a woman of 28 who never smiled but always knew what to do. There was Wu, the big man who carried the heavy equipment. Was the youngest at 24, good with computers and machines. Was the medic, quiet and careful. And Sung was the sharpshooter, a man who could hit a target from 2 kilometers away. They were not warriors, they were scouts. Their weapons were old. Their armor was basic. They had been sent to Outpost 7 because nothing ever happened there. It was supposed to be an easy job. Heard footsteps behind him. It was. "Captain," she said, "we have a problem." Turned around. He could see worry on her face and never worried about small things. "What is it?" "Ships," said, "many ships coming toward us fast." Felt his heart go cold. He followed down to the communication room where the others were waiting. Was sitting at her computer, her fingers moving fast across the screen. Numbers and images filled the display. "Show me," said. Pressed a button. The screen changed to show the space above their planet. There were ships there, not 1 or 2, hundreds of them. They were large and black, shaped like insects with long wings and sharp points. Had never seen ships like these before. "They are not human," said. Her voice was shaking. "I checked 3 times. These ships do not match anything in our records." "Aliens," Wu said. He stood near the door with his arms crossed. "First contact and we are stuck in the middle of it." Looked pale. "Should we call Earth?" "The signal will take hours to reach them," said. "By then those ships will be here." Stared at the screen. His mind was racing. 6 scouts, old weapons, a small colony of civilians against hundreds of alien ships. The math was simple and terrible. "How long until they arrive?" he asked. 4 hours, answered, "maybe less." Far above the planet, on the largest of those black ships, Princess stood before a massive window and smiled. She was tall and thin, with pale blue skin and eyes like liquid gold. Her people, had ruled 100 star systems for 10,000 years. They had conquered species more powerful than humans. They had destroyed civilizations that tried to resist. Humans were new to space, young and weak, had heard reports about them. They had only left their home planet a few hundred years ago. They had basic technology and small ships. They were nothing compared to the might of the Empire. Her advisor, a old named Boral, stood beside her. He held a data device in his thin fingers. "Princess," he said, "our scouts have finished their report on the planet below." "Tell me," said. "There is a small settlement, about 300 humans, workers mostly, some families." Boral paused and made a strange sound, almost like a laugh. "They have a defense force of 6 soldiers." Turned to look at him. "6. 6, Princess, and they are not even real soldiers, they are scouts, watchers, their weapons are old, their equipment is basic." Laughed. It was a cold, beautiful sound. 6 scouts against my armada, against 1,000 of my finest warriors. This will not even be a battle, it will be a collection. She walked to her throne and sat down. The throne was made of black metal and the bones of conquered enemies. His father had built it. She planned to add human bones to it soon. "Send a message to the planet," she ordered. "Tell them to surrender. Tell them that the Empire claims this world and all humans on it. They will become slaves or they will die." Boral bowed. "Yes, Princess." On the planet below, the message arrived 30 minutes later. "Read it out loud to the team." When she finished, the room was silent. Slaves, Wu said finally. His big hands were now fists. They want to make us slaves. Or kill us, Sung added. He was cleaning his rifle, his movements slow and calm. Looked at Captain, what do we do? Stood in the center of the room. All eyes were on him. He thought about the 300 civilians in the colony, the families, the children. He thought about his team, these 5 people who trusted him. Then he thought about Earth, about the billions of humans back home who had no idea what was coming. If they took this colony, what would stop them from going further? What would stop them from reaching Earth? We cannot win, said slowly. We all know this. 6 scouts against an army, but we do not fight to win. Then why do we fight? Asked. Looked at her. We fight to slow them down. We fight to send a message. We fight so that Earth has time to prepare. He paused. And we fight because we are human, because that is what we do. Nodded slowly. A small smile appeared on her face for the first time in months. I always knew this job would get interesting someday. Wu cracked his knuckles. About time we did something besides watch and report. Opened his medical bag and started checking supplies. I will be ready. Sung finished cleaning his rifle and looked up. Give me a good position, Captain. I will make every shot count. Turned back to her computer. I will try to hack their systems. Maybe I can cause some confusion. Felt something warm in his chest. Pride. These were scouts, not soldiers. They were not trained for war. They had every reason to be afraid, but none of them suggested running. None of them suggested surrender. All right, said, we have 4 hours. Let us get to work. Above them, Princess waited for the humans to surrender. She was already planning the celebration. She had no idea that below her, 6 humans were preparing to teach the Empire a lesson it would never forget. The stars of Outpost 7 continued to shine, beautiful and cold. But something had changed in the air. Something was coming. And for the first time in 10,000 years, the Empire was about to face something they did not understand. They were about to face humans. The 4 hours passed quickly, and his team worked without rest. They moved through the colony, preparing defenses and warning civilians. Most of the colonists were scared. Some cried, but all of them listened to the scouts and did what they were told. The colony was built in a valley between 2 mountains. There was only one main road leading in and out. Studied the land and made his plan. It was not a complicated plan. Complicated plans needed more people and better weapons. Simple plans were all they could afford. Organized the civilians. She moved them to the underground shelters that had been built for storms. The shelters were deep and strong. They would protect the people from the battle above. Stay down here, told them. Do not come out until we tell you it is safe. If we do not come back, she paused. If we do not come back, wait 3 days. Then try to reach the emergency beacon in the East Mountains. A young mother held her baby close. Will you win? She asked. Looked at her for a long moment. We will fight, she said. That is all I can promise. Outside, Wu and were setting up traps. They used mining explosives from the colony's storage. They dug holes and covered them with thin metal sheets and dirt. They put electric wires across narrow paths. They placed sensors that would alert them when enemies came near. This feels wrong, said as he connected another wire. We are medics and scouts. We are supposed to help people, not kill them. Wu stopped working and looked at him. We are helping people. Those 300 civilians in the shelters. We are helping them. Earth with its billions of humans. We are helping them too. Nodded slowly. I know, it just feels strange. I joined the scouts because I did not want to be a soldier. Sometimes, Wu said, life does not give us choices. Sometimes we have to become what we never wanted to be. On the highest building in the colony, Sung was setting up his position. He had found a perfect spot where he could see the entire valley and the road leading in. He placed his rifle carefully and adjusted the scope. Then he lay down and waited. Sung had always been good at waiting. As a child on Earth, he had spent hours watching birds in the forest near his home. He learned that patience was everything. The bird that moved too fast scared its prey. The bird that waited got its meal. Today, he would wait for a different kind of prey. In the communication room, worked on her computer. Her fingers moved faster than ever. She was trying to break into the alien communication systems. It was not easy. The used technology far more advanced than human systems, but had always loved puzzles, and this was the biggest puzzle of her life. "Come on," she whispered. "Talk to me, show me your secrets." After 2 hours of trying, she found a small opening. It was like finding a crack in a wall. She pushed through it, and suddenly she could hear the aliens talking to each other. She did not understand their language, but her computer could translate some of it. She listened carefully and learned important things. They were sending landing ships with warriors. They expected no resistance. They were already arguing about who would get the best human slaves. Felt anger rise in her chest. Slaves. They thought of humans as animals to be owned. She pushed the anger down and kept listening. Information was more valuable than anger. Up in space, Princess was growing impatient. She had expected the humans to surrender by now, but no message had come from the planet. The little creatures were either very brave or very stupid. "They are not responding," Boral reported. "Perhaps they did not receive our message." "They received it," said. "They are just too foolish to accept reality." She waved her thin hand. "Send the first wave. 100 warriors should be more than enough for 6 scouts and some workers." "Yes, Princess." 5 landing ships left the main fleet and flew down toward the planet. Each ship carried 20 warriors. They were tall and strong, with hard shells covering their bodies like armor. Their weapons fired beams of hot energy that could cut through metal. They had conquered dozens of species. They had never lost a battle. On the planet, watched the ships coming down through the sky. They looked like falling stars, bright and fast. He stood on the main road at the entrance to the valley. He was alone. The ships landed 2 kilometers away, kicking up dust and rocks. The doors opened and the warriors came out. They moved with confidence, their weapons ready. They formed lines and started walking toward the colony. Did not move. He stood in the middle of the road and waited. The commander was named. He was bigger than the others, with scars on his shell from old battles. He saw the single human standing in the road and laughed. "Look," he said to his warriors, "they sent one little creature to stop us. How cute." The warriors laughed with him. They kept walking, getting closer too. When they were 100 meters away, raised his hand. In his other hand, he held a small device. "Stop," he called out. His voice was calm. "This is your only warning. Leave this planet now and you will live. Stay and you will die." Stopped walking. He stared at the human for a long moment. Then he laughed again, harder than before. "Did you hear that?" he shouted to his warriors. "This tiny thing threatens us. 100 warriors, the finest in the Empire, and this creature thinks it can stop us." The warriors laughed and shouted insults. Some of them pointed their weapons at. Did not move. His face showed no fear. "I will ask one more time, leave now." Raised his weapon. "I am going to enjoy killing you slowly, human. I am going to." Pressed the button on his device. The ground under the warriors exploded. Wu's mining charges went off all at once, tearing through the alien formation. Bodies flew into the air. Screams filled the valley. Before the dust could settle, Sung fired from his position. His first shot hit directly in the head. The commander fell without making a sound. Was already running. He moved to the side of the road where was waiting behind a wall of rocks. She handed him his rifle. "How many?" she asked. "About 30 down from the explosives," said. Sung got their leader. Nodded. 70 left. Good start. In her position behind the colony's water tower, watched her screen. She had managed to connect to the alien communication system. Now she sent fake messages to the ships above. "Enemy forces are larger than expected," her message said. "Send reinforcements immediately." She smiled. Confusion was a weapon too. On the main ship, Princess received the message from the surface. She frowned. Larger than expected, that made no sense. There were only 6 humans. "Something is wrong," she said to Boral. "Connect me to Commander." Boral tried. There was no answer. Felt something cold in her stomach. It was a feeling she had not felt in a very long time. It took her a moment to remember what it was. Fear. "Send more ships," she ordered. "All of them now." Down on the planet, the battle was just beginning, and the 6 human scouts were ready. The remaining 70 warriors were no longer laughing. They had seen their commander fall. They had watched their friends die in the explosion. Now they were angry and scared, which made them dangerous but also careless. They charged forward, firing their weapons wildly. Energy beams cut through the air, hitting rocks and buildings. They screamed war cries in their strange language. Watched them come. He felt surprisingly calm. In training, they had told him that real battle would feel different than practice. They were right. Everything seemed slower and clearer. He could see each warrior, each weapon, each movement. "Wu now," he said into his radio. On the left side of the valley, Wu and opened fire from behind a row of mining trucks. Their rifles were old but still deadly. They had strong shells on their bodies, but the shells had weak spots, joints, necks, eye areas. The scouts knew where to aim. 3 more warriors fell, then 5 more. They tried to turn toward this new threat, but that exposed their backs too and fired with cold precision. Every shot found its target. She did not waste bullets. She did not miss. "Keep moving," she said too. "Never stay in one place too long." They ran to a new position behind a storage building. The energy weapons hit the spot where they had just been standing. The rocks melted into hot liquid. From his high position, Sung continued his work. His rifle was old, but his aim was perfect. He picked his targets carefully. He shot the ones who looked like leaders. He shot the ones who were trying to organize the others. Without leaders, they became confused. 42 down, Sung reported through his radio. 28 still moving. Was not fighting, but she was just as busy. She had managed to get deeper into the communication system. Now she was sending false orders. "Retreat to the ships," she sent to some warriors. "Advance to the south," she sent to others. "The humans have heavy weapons in the north," she sent to a third group. They did not know which orders to follow. Some started running back toward their ships. Others went the wrong direction. A few even started arguing with each other. This was what scouts were trained for. Not direct combat, but confusion, tricks, making the enemy doubt everything they knew. A group of 15 warriors managed to get close to the colony buildings. They were smarter than the others. They stayed low and moved from cover to cover. Saw them coming. "Wu, fall back to position 3, he ordered. "They are trying to go around us." And Wu ran through the colony streets. They knew every corner, every alley. They had spent months walking these paths on patrol. Now that knowledge saved their lives. The 15 warriors entered the colony. They moved between buildings, searching for humans to kill. They did not find any civilians because had moved them all underground, but they also did not find the scouts. What they found were traps. Electric wires hidden at ankle height sent warriors crashing to the ground. Sensors triggered small explosions. Painted walls hid deep holes that swallowed warriors whole. One by one, the 15 became 10, then 7, then 3. The last 3 warriors found themselves in the main square of the colony. They stood back to back, weapons ready, looking for enemies. But they saw nothing, heard nothing. Then Wu stepped out of a doorway behind them. "Hey," he said. The warriors spun around. Wu fired 3 times, 3 bodies fell. back at the main road and faced the remaining 10 warriors. These 10 were the survivors, the smart ones, the dangerous ones. They had learned from watching their friends die. They moved carefully now, using cover, supporting each other. "We are running low on ammunition," said. Her voice was still calm, but could hear the tension underneath. "I know," replied. "We need to end this quickly." He looked around. There was a fuel storage tank nearby. It was old and rusted, but still full of ship fuel, highly explosive ship fuel. "Sung," said into his radio, "can you see the fuel tank at my position?" "I see it," Sung answered. "When I give the signal, hit it." There was a pause. "Captain, that tank is very close to you." "I know, we will move, just be ready." Took a deep breath. Then he stood up from his cover and started walking toward the 10 warriors. He held his rifle loosely at his side. The warriors saw him. They raised their weapons but did not fire immediately. They were curious. What was this human doing? "You are all going to die," said loudly. "Your friends are dead. Your commander is dead. Your empire sent you here to capture slaves, but you will not even capture one." One of the warriors, the biggest one, stepped forward. "You are brave for such a small creature, but you are alone, and you cannot kill all of us." Smiled. "I do not need to kill you all. I just needed you to stand still." He dropped to the ground. Sung fired. The fuel tank exploded in a ball of orange and white fire. The heat wave washed over but was there, pulling him behind a concrete wall. They pressed themselves against the cool stone as the fire roared above them. When the flames died down, there were no more warriors standing. "Clear," Sung reported. "First wave eliminated, all 100 down." Lay on the ground, breathing hard. His ears were ringing. His skin felt hot, but he was alive. They were all alive. Pulled him to his feet. "That was too close, Captain." "It worked," said. "Barely." They walked back to the communication room where was waiting. Her face was pale and sweaty, but her eyes were bright. "More ships are coming," she said. "Many more. The princess is sending her entire army." Looked at his team. Wu had a burn on his arm from an energy weapon that had come too close, was wrapping it with bandages. Sung was climbing down from his position, his rifle on his back. They all looked tired. They all looked scared. But they also looked ready. "How many?" asked. Checked her screen. 900 warriors, 50 ships. Wu let out a long breath. 900 against 6 of us. 5, said quietly. "I am almost out of medical supplies. I cannot fight anymore. I need to stay here and prepare for wounded." 5 then, Wu said. 5 against 900. The room was quiet. The odds had been bad before. Now they seemed impossible. 100 warriors had been hard enough. 900 was an army. Thought about telling them to run, to take the civilians and escape into the mountains, to hide and wait for rescue from Earth. But he looked at their faces and knew they would never agree. They had come too far. They had fought too hard. Running now would mean admitting that everything they had done was meaningless. "We have one advantage," said suddenly. "They are angry now. Angry enemies make mistakes." Nodded, "And I am still in their communication system. I can keep sending false orders." Sung checked his ammunition. "I have 47 rounds left. That is 47 more dead aliens." Wu cracked his knuckles. "We made them pay for every step so far. Let us make them pay for every step again." Felt that warm feeling in his chest again. Pride, love. These people were not just his team, they were his family. "All right," he said. "Let us show these aliens what humans are made of." Outside, the sky was filling with ships again. The second wave was coming, and 5 human scouts prepared to face an army. Princess stood before the main screen on her command ship. Her golden eyes were wide. Her blue hands were shaking. For the first time in her long life, she did not know what to say. On the screen, she could see the battlefield below. She could see the bodies of 100 warriors. Her best warriors, dead, all of them. "This is not possible," she whispered. "There were only 6 of them, 6 scouts with old weapons." Boral stood beside her just as shocked. He had served the Empire for 200 years. He had seen many battles, but he had never seen anything like this. "Our sensors confirm it, Princess," he said quietly. 100 warriors dead, 0 human casualties. 0's voice was high and thin. 0. "Yes, Princess, the 6 humans are all still alive." Turned away from the screen. She walked to her throne but did not sit down. She could not sit down. Her body was filled with a nervous energy she had never felt before. "Tell me about these humans again," she ordered. "Everything our intelligence says about them." Boral pulled up his data device. "They are a young species, Princess. They left their home world only 300 years ago. Their technology is far behind ours. Their military is small. They have no experience with major space warfare." "Then how?" demanded. "How did 6 of them destroy 100 of our warriors?" Boral hesitated. "Princess, our intelligence may have been incomplete. Perhaps humans are more dangerous than we believed." "More dangerous," laughed, but there was no humor in the sound. "They are scouts, Boral, not soldiers, scouts. Their job is to watch and report, not to fight. If their scouts can do this, what can their soldiers do?" That question hung in the air like poison. Down on the planet, the second wave of warriors was landing. 900 of them poured out of 50 ships. They were more careful this time. They spread out across the valley, using cover, watching for traps. They had learned from the fate of the first wave. But the scouts had learned too. Had moved his team to new positions. They were no longer defending the main road. Instead, they were hidden throughout the colony, ready to strike from anywhere. "Remember," said through the radio, "we cannot win a direct fight. We hit them, we hurt them, we disappear, make them afraid of every shadow." The army moved forward slowly. Every step was careful, every corner was checked, but they could not check everything. Sung fired from the roof of a storage building. A warrior fell. Before the others could find him, Sung was gone, climbing down a ladder and running through a back alley. Wu waited in a dark warehouse until a group of warriors entered. He let them pass him, then attacked from behind. 3 fell before the others could turn around. By then, Wu was already out the back door. Set traps as she moved, trip wires, noise makers, small explosives. The warriors kept finding them. Each time they had to stop and check. Each time they lost more time and more courage. Continued her work on the computer system. She learned to control the lights in different parts of the colony. She turned them on and off randomly, creating confusion. She made the warriors think enemies were hiding in empty buildings. And moved between all of them, directing, supporting, fighting when needed. He had been a scout for 10 years, but today he fought like a soldier, like a commander, like a leader. After 3 hours, 200 more warriors were dead. On the command ship, watched in growing horror. Her army was being destroyed piece by piece, and still the human casualties were 0. "This cannot be happening," she said. 700 warriors against 5 humans. How are we losing?" Boral was sweating, something did only when very stressed. "Princess, I have been studying the human tactics. They are not fighting like soldiers. They are fighting like hunters. They know the land. They use it against us." "They are scouts," said again, as if saying it would change something. "Just scouts." "Yes, Princess, and I think I understand now." Boral's voice was thoughtful. "Human scouts are not like our scouts. Our scouts simply observe and report. But human scouts, they are trained for survival. They are trained to operate behind enemy lines with no support. They are trained to think, to adapt, to fight with whatever they have." Turned to look at him. "You are saying their scouts are better than our scouts." "I am saying, Princess, that their scouts might be better than our soldiers." The words hit like a physical blow. She sat down on her throne, feeling weak. If their scouts can do this, she said slowly, what about their special forces, their elite warriors, their armies? Boral did not answer. He did not need to. Down in the colony was breathing hard. 5 hours of constant fighting had exhausted him. His team was tired too. They were moving slower, thinking slower. Sooner or later they would make a mistake. Captain's voice came through the radio. I found something in their communications. The princess is talking to her advisors. What is she saying? She is scared. She is talking about retreating. Felt hope rise in his chest. Retreating. Yes, she says if scouts can do this, she does not want to face human soldiers. She is considering leaving the system entirely. Who was listening on the same channel spoke up. Then we need to push harder, make her more scared, make her believe we are stronger than we are. Nodded though no one could see him. How? There was silence for a moment. Then Sung's calm voice came through. Captain, I have an idea, but it is dangerous. Tell me. One of the landing ships is not far from my position. I can reach it. If I can get inside, I can use its weapons against the other warriors. Wu cut in. Sung, that is suicide. Even if you reach the ship, you will be surrounded. Maybe, Sung said. But if I can cause enough damage, the princess might decide we have more people than she thought. She might retreat. Closed his eyes. Sung was right. It was a good plan, a desperate plan, but a good one. The problem was that Sung probably would not survive. I cannot order you to do this, said. You do not need to order me, Sung replied. I am volunteering. Wanted to say no. He wanted to find another way, but there was no other way. They were 5 people against 700. Every option was desperate. All right, he said finally. Sung, you move for the ship. The rest of us will create a distraction, make noise, draw their attention. Understood, Sung said. Captain, it has been an honor. The honor is mine, Sung. Good luck. For the next 20 minutes, and Wu attacked from multiple directions. They made as much noise as possible. They set off every remaining explosive. They fired their last ammunition into groups of warriors. The army turned toward them, forgetting about the single man moving through the shadows toward one of their ships. Sung reached the landing ship without being seen. The door was open. 2 guards stood inside. Sung killed them quickly and quietly. Then he climbed into the pilot's seat. The controls were alien but not complicated. Energy weapons were energy weapons. Sung found the firing button and pressed it. The ship's main cannon fired into the army. Warriors screamed and died. The beam cut through them like a hot knife through ice. On the command ship screamed. They have captured one of our ships. How did they capture one of our ships? Boral was checking his data device frantically. Princess, I do not know. I do not understand how they are doing this. Watched as more of her warriors died. The numbers on her screen kept dropping. 600, 500, 400. Enough, she shouted. Order the retreat. All warriors return to the ships immediately. We are leaving this cursed planet. Boral stared at her. Princess, if we retreat, the Empire will. The Empire can judge me later, snapped. I will not lose my entire army to 6 humans. Call the retreat now. On the planet, the warriors heard the order. Most of them were already running. They had lost friends. They had lost leaders. They had lost hope. The retreat order was a relief. Sung kept firing until the warriors were out of range. Then he climbed out of the ship and looked at what he had done. Bodies everywhere, smoke rising into the sky, alien ships fleeing toward space. He had done it. They had all done it. Found Sung standing alone near the captured ship. The older man was staring at the sky, watching the last of the ships disappear. We won, said. Sung shook his head slowly. We survived, Captain. That is not the same thing. Today it is. They stood together in silence, 2 tired scouts watching their enemies run away. Behind them, the rest of the team was already helping civilians come out of the shelters. The battle was over. And somewhere in space, Princess was realizing that the galaxy had changed forever. The fleet retreated through space at maximum speed. Princess sat on her throne, staring at nothing. Her golden eyes had lost their shine. Her proud face looked old and tired. Around her, the officers of her command ship worked in silence. Nobody wanted to speak. Nobody wanted to draw attention to the disaster they had just witnessed. 1,000 warriors had been sent to capture a small human colony. 400 were returning. 600 lay dead on a distant planet, killed by 6 humans, 6 scouts. The numbers made no sense. The reality made no sense. Boral approached the throne carefully. He bowed low before speaking. "Princess, we are receiving communications from the planet. The humans wish to send a message." "Did not move. Let them speak." A screen flickered to life. Captain appeared on it. He looked tired. There was dirt on his face and burns on his uniform, but his eyes were calm and steady. "Princess of the Empire," he said. His voice was polite but firm. "My name is Captain of the Human Frontier Scouts. I want to thank you for the battle today. It taught us many things about your people." Found her voice. "You are thanking me. You are mocking me." "No," said. "I am being honest. We learned that your warriors are brave. We learned that your ships are fast and your weapons are powerful. We learned that the Empire is not to be taken lightly." He paused, and something dangerous entered his eyes. "Now let me tell you what you should have learned about humans." Leaned forward despite herself. "You sent 1,000 warriors against us," continued. "Against 6 scouts. We are not soldiers, Princess. We are not fighters. Our job is to watch and report. We carry old weapons and basic equipment. We have minimal training in combat. And still, we killed 600 of your best warriors." He let those words hang in the air. "I want you to think about that, Princess. I want you to think about what would have happened if you had faced real human soldiers, Marines, Special Forces, trained killers with modern weapons and advanced armor. I want you to imagine an army of them, millions strong, coming for your empire." Felt cold, so cold. "Take this message back to your emperor," said. "Tell him what happened here today. Tell him that humanity does not want war. We are peaceful people. We would rather trade and learn and grow together. But if anyone threatens our people, if anyone tries to make slaves of our families, we will fight, and we will win." He leaned closer to the camera. "You faced 6 scouts today, Princess. Remember this moment. Remember how it felt to lose. Because if you ever come back with hostile intentions, you will not face scouts. You will face warriors. And I promise you, Princess, what happened today will look like mercy compared to what our warriors would do." The screen went dark. Sat in silence for a long time. Then she turned to Boral. "Send a message to the Emperor. Tell him everything. Every detail, every death, every failure. Princess, he will be furious. He may punish you." "I know," said, "but he needs to understand. The Empire has expanded for 10,000 years. We have conquered hundreds of species. We have never failed, but today we face something new, something different." She looked at the stars through the window. "Humans are not like other species. They do not surrender when they should. They do not run when logic says to run. They fight with tricks and traps and tactics we have never seen. Their scouts are more dangerous than our soldiers." Her voice dropped to a whisper. "Imagine what their soldiers are like." Back on the planet, the celebration was quiet. There was no cheering or singing. Everyone was too tired and too aware of how close they had come to death. The colonists hugged the scouts and thanked them with tears in their eyes, but the joy was mixed with fear and relief. Was treating the injured. Wu had deep cuts on his arms from fighting at close range, had twisted her ankle while running between positions. Even Sung had a wound on his shoulder that he had not told anyone about. Was already writing her report. The data she had collected would be sent to Earth as soon as possible. Military analysts would study the communications. Engineers would examine the captured ship. Scientists would try to understand the alien technology. And somewhere in a quiet office on Earth, decisions would be made. Decisions about ships and soldiers and strategies. Decisions that would shape the future of humanity in the galaxy. Stood alone on the roof where this had all started, watching the stars. The same stars he had watched 12 hours ago, before everything changed. Climbed up to join him. She moved carefully on her injured ankle but did not complain. "You should be resting," said. "So should you." They stood together in silence for a while, then spoke. "Do you think they will come back?" Considered the question. "Maybe, probably. An empire that has never lost will want revenge. They will want to prove they are still strong. Then we should prepare." "Yes, but not just us. Earth needs to know what happened. The whole human race needs to prepare," sighed. "We have been alone in the galaxy for 300 years. We thought we were safe. Now we know we are not." "That sounds frightening," said. "It is," turned to look at her. "But it is also an opportunity. We have lived without purpose for too long, growing comfortable, growing soft. Maybe this will wake us up. Maybe this will remind us what we are capable of." Nodded slowly. "I never thought I would fight a battle like this. I never thought I would survive one." "Neither did I." "But we did." A small smile appeared on her face. 6 scouts against 1,000 warriors. We should be dead. "But we are not." "No, we are not." They shared a look that said more than words could express. They had gone through something that would change them forever. They had seen what humans could do when pushed to the limit, and they had discovered something important about themselves. They were stronger than they knew. The next morning, a message arrived from Earth. It was from the Human Defense Command, the organization that managed all human military forces. The message was short. "Captain and team, your report received. Incredible work. A full fleet is being dispatched to your location. Reinforcements will arrive in 3 weeks. The entire galaxy is watching. You have made humanity proud." Read the message to his team. They listened in silence. 3 weeks, Wu said. "We have to hold out for 3 weeks if they come back." "They will not come back," Sung said with certainty. "Not yet. They need time to recover, to understand what happened, to plan." "And when they do return?" asked. "When they return," said, "we will not be alone. Earth is sending ships, soldiers, real warriors that made a mistake attacking us. They thought humans were weak. They thought we would be easy to conquer." He looked at each of his team members. Wu, with his bandaged arms and tired eyes, still stained with the blood he had cleaned from wounds, who had fought a war with her computer instead of a gun. Sung, the quiet man who had captured an alien ship, who had held them all together when everything was falling apart. "They were wrong," said, "and the galaxy will learn. Humanity is not weak. Humanity does not surrender. And humanity, when threatened, becomes something that even great empires should fear." Far across the galaxy, the message was spreading. From the Emperor's throne room to the trading posts of 100 species, beings were hearing the story. 6 human scouts, 1,000 alien warriors, a battle that should have been a slaughter. But it was not a slaughter, it was a warning. Humanity had arrived on the galactic stage, and nothing would ever be the same again. On Outpost 7, under the beautiful stars at the edge of known space, 6 scouts watched the sky and waited for the future to arrive. They were tired, they were wounded, they were just scouts. But they were human. And that was enough.